this workshop is a very foundation of all the workshops which I've been taking, all the master classes which I've been taking. This is the very basic foundation. If you can understand this well, then rest everything you'll understand much better, and much with a lot of clarity, and with a much better understanding and much deeper understanding. The topic today is how we are actually living in the memories of our past, how we are actually living in our old memories, in our past memories. And then we'll actually follow it with the experience, with the meditation, because both are equally important. Because knowledge without experience is philosophy, and experience without knowledge is ignorance. So only when we combine knowledge with experience, that is true evolution or true wisdom. Today we are going in a very challenging times. A lot of opportunities coming in our way. So it's challenging yet very opportunistic time. So this is the time in history where it is not enough to know how, but to know how and actually become it. So it's just not enough to know, but it's important to know how and become it. And knowledge is a precursor to an experience. The more knowledge we have, the better we are prepared for the experience. And so if you can assign more meaning to whatever you're doing, you actually get better results. Our whole philosophy of teaching is how can we combine knowledge with an experience so that you get a better results. But the whole purpose is transformation, from information to transformation. So there was an experiment done on Latin American maids in Harvard. What they did was they divided a group of 84 maids who were working in a hotel divided into a group of 42 and 42. And what they observed was both the maids were the whole group. Most of these 84 maids were having much more weight than they should be. The kind of the diet they're eating and the kind of work they're doing, they should not be obese or they should not be overweight, but still they were. So what they did was they divided the group, and one group they didn't say anything, and the other group they told them that how much work they're doing. They didn't change their diet. They were not working. They were exactly working how much amount they're working. But they gave a lot of knowledge that how much calories you are burning. If you do this, if you remove the bed sheets, if you remove swipe the floors, this much calories you are burning. When you eat food, only this much calories you are gaining. And when they had this knowledge, so after 1 month, the maids were given this knowledge. On an average, they lost 42 pounds. So it's just by priming their brain or giving them more knowledge, they got the results. So, and the other one remained the way they are. So the whole idea is when you learn about the what and the why, then the easier and more effective the how becomes. So that's why I'm going to share a lot of knowledge, and then in the end we'll do meditation. So friends, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And 95% of these thoughts are actually repeated from the past. So, so over a period of time, by the time we are at the age of 35, we are having the same repeated thoughts, patterns, emotions, attitudes, same behaviors. And we are actually living in the past. We think that every day is a new day, but actually we are only living the memories of the past, because 90 to 95% of your thoughts are only coming from the past. So that's why it's very difficult to change your reality. You have the same thoughts, which leads us to the same choices, same actions and behaviors, same experiences, and which leads us to the same feelings. And then we are in the same old state of being. And then over a period of time, the state of being actually becomes your personality. And Joe Dispenza says that your personality creates a personal reality. So then that becomes your person, and then that's as per your personality, you draw your personal reality into your life. So to really make a change, we have to learn how to inspire new thoughts, which leads us to new choices, new actions and behaviors, leading us to new experience and new feelings, and lead us to a new state of being. So how it all starts, any event happens in our life, everything just starts with a mood. Something happened, somebody told you anything, you had a breakup with your girlfriend, you started with a mood. Oh, I'm not in a good mood. Why? Oh, I had this breakup. But then you carry this mood, which started with few hours or days, Now you continue the same mood for some weeks or month, and then it becomes a temperament. Then again you're still not in a good mood, and that mood does not stays only with that event. Anything small happens, any trigger happens in your life, you go back to the same temperament, same mood, you are acting from the same mood, and then it becomes a state of, then it becomes a temperament. And then you continue that temperament for a longer period of time, for months, for weeks and months, and then years. Then over a period of time it becomes a personality trait. So the these emotional reactions which create this different state of beings, and even over a period of time, as you elongate the refractory period of your emotions, it turns into those mood turns into a temperament, and temperament turns into a personality, and your personality turns into a state of being. And what happens is you become chemically addicted to those emotions. So then over a period of time, you now, even if there's no situation around you to be in that mood, you go back to your past. You go back to your past stories. You will create stories. And not only will you create stories, the research shows that you even lie and exaggerate the whole story. Oh, that woman ditched me, and this is the way she treated me, and I had a break off, and since then I have fallen. You use that excuse to reaffirm your current state. To accommodate your current state of being, you use different excuses just to accommodate your current personality trait. And the research shows that 50% of the stories which we tell ourselves or which we tell to others are not even true. It's pure lie and exaggeration. So what happens, friends, that we as personality memorize these emotional reactions and actually literally live in the past. And then, the end result of any experience is an emotion. And when we memorize these emotions, it turns any experience with an intense emotion turns into a long-term memory. And with over a period of time, by memorizing again and again, we make that memory so intense that eventually it becomes hardwired into our brain. Now it has become a personality self. Now we are on autopilot. So emotions are nothing but actually the record of our past. So over a period of time, your personality creates your personal reality. So to really make a change, we have to learn how to think, act, and feel differently. If you want to be aligned with your future vision, with what you want to be, we have to break the chain of past. We have to move away from the memories of the past. We have to break the pattern of our old self. And that's why I call this masterclass Breaking the Habit of Being Ourselves. I would like to tell you that this is also inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has written a book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. You can please read this book, very, very inspiring book. So to really make a change, we have to, and to align with a new vision, with a future vision, we have to think differently, to act differently, and to feel differently. You can see this tree. So above is you can see the roots. So friends, the 5% above is only our conscious mind, and the 95% is actually our subconscious mind. 95% of whom we are by the age of 35 years is a set of same memorized thoughts, behaviors, actions, belief systems, or instincts which we have acquired over a period of time. So what happens is we think that we have a free will, but we have actually lost our free will to that program, to that 95% program, which we have in a subconscious mind. So this 5%, so only this 5% is actually our creative mind. Is only that this 5% is our aspirational mind, which is new wishes, new desires, or positive thinking. And 95% is actually this instinctive, acquired behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, actions. It could be a skill, it could be a habit. Over a period of time now, it has become a conditioned response or an associative memory with our past. And it has become very routine thoughts and feelings or attitudes. So now we are like a record playback memory, Anything happens in our life, we actually, we are only observing it, or we are only seeing it from the lens of our past. We're only seeing it from the lens of our past emotions. So we think we have a free will, but actually we have lost our free will to the program. And one thing I want you to understand very clearly, this 5% represents our brain, And this 95% actually represents our body. Thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. So whatever you think is actually from the brain, that 5% creative mind. But most of the time we are acting out of those feelings. Most of the time we are living this life from the feelings which is stored in our body. And now we are on autopilot. It is like a record playback memory. Any event happens, we just instinctively behave. We just react. So we think we have a creative mind, but actually we are living from those feelings, which is stored in our body. So our body has become, over a period of time, our body has become our own mind. And now it is more powerful, it is more stronger than our conscious mind. A subconscious mind, which is represented by a body, is much more powerful, much more effective, much more stronger, or much more overpowering than our conscious mind. And now that dominates our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our choices we make. That because that has formed, that has become an integral part of our belief systems. You know, so thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. So what happens is, you want to think. So only 5% is free will, and 95% of those is actually the program. So you want to think abundance, but you are feeling lack, or you're feeling poverty consciousness. You're coming from the feeling of poverty. You want to think whole, but you're feeling hurt or broken or sick. You want to have a healthy relationship, but you're feeling angry or resentment or hurt. So what happens is, your thoughts are not aligned with your feelings. Your feelings are not able to reciprocate your thoughts. Your feelings are not married with your thoughts. So you're thinking something, but you're feeling the opposite of it. So, and that's why meditation plays an important role, because the more conscious you are of your unconscious program, the less unconscious you will go during the course of the day. So what happens is that this cycle of thinking and feeling is actually forms a belief system now. Anything happens in our life, we are only seeing from the lens of the past and from the belief which we have formed over a period of time. And then this belief actually drive our behaviors. So it's always, any life situation happens in a life, it's always a fight between a conscious mind or an unconscious mind. And whenever it's like a ping pong match going on between a conscious and an unconscious mind, and over a period of time, the unconscious mind wins over, because the body, being addicted to the same chemical reaction, to the same emotion, wins us over, and we go back to our past. So it's like that yo-yo syndrome, and this persistence or our willpower muscles, no matter how strong we are, eventually it gets tired and we go back to our old patterns, So, and that's why we are not able to change. That's why change is not happening in our life. Even though we all think positive. We all want to draw a new situation in our life to create a positive life. But we are feeling negative. Our thoughts and our feelings are in two different directions. They are not in sync. They are not harmonized with each other. They are not in sync with each other. There's no congruence factor between each other. So friends, I want to do an exercise with you. So all of you, just raise your hands to like this, and take your hands to your chin. I said chin. Yeah. So you can see most of you were just mimicking what I was doing. Even though I told you to be attentive, I told you to be very alert and pay all the attention, but your body just reacts. So we think we are conscious, but actually we are unconscious. And what happens is, over a period of time, because the feelings are not able to catch up with our thoughts, your life is always buffering, because of your feelings are yet to catch up with your thought. So this is how exactly we are living our life, always in a buffering mode. And that's why we are unable to manifest. So this is how, friends, we live our life, So we think the same thoughts. So with every thought, we produce a corresponding chemical. So with every thought, we produce a corresponding chemical. So if it's a positive thoughts or a happy thoughts, we produce endorphins or chemicals corresponding to those thoughts. Or say if it is survival-based emotion thoughts, or if you're in a flight and fight mode, then you produce chemicals like cortisols or any chemical which is corresponding to those thoughts. So with every thought, you produce a corresponding chemical, and with that chemical, your body feels. You feel that. You feel that in your body. You feel that as an emotion. It turns into an emotion. The feelings turn into an emotion, and that emotion signals the same genes in the same ways. And then these emotions it activates the neuroreceptor sites of your cells, of your genes, of your chromosomes, and over a period of time, your genes get addicted to those chemicals. And now those same genes will sponsor the mind or our automatic nervous system, or it will push to think the same thoughts, because they need the same chemical. So it pushes to inspire the same thoughts, which leads to the same chemical reaction, which have the same feeling, which leads you to the same feeling, and which again signal the same genes in the same ways. So we are actually chained to our past. This cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking has actually changed us to our past. So we think we have a free will, but actually we are not. We are not using a free will. We are actually chained to our past. So the same group of thoughts and feelings clustered in habitual sequences creates a state of being. So emotions, as I told you, the emotions are nothing but a record of the past. And now any life situation happens, you're also analyzing it into the box of the past. And the same cycle of thinking and feeling now turns into a state of being, and now it turns into a habit. So now what is habit? A habit is nothing but a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors and actions. And habit is something that you have done so many times that your body knows better than your mind. Your body knows better than your mind. In fact, your body is in an autopilot. That's why it's called a program. Your body is on a program mode. It is on autopilot. It is just programmed to behave in certain ways. Any same situation, similar situation, same thinking, same events, you are so predictable. You'll react in the same way, because we think always equal to our emotional state. If you are emotionally happy, we will think happy thoughts. If you are emotionally sad or in a survival state, we think corresponding to those emotional states. We think the thoughts which is corresponding to those emotional state. So over a period of time, what happens is first we make our habits, and then our habits make us. And that's why it's called your biology is your biography. Because with these feelings and with this habitual thoughts and feelings, you make a clear imprint on your body, of your clear imprint of emotions on your body. And then these emotions are stored in your body, and then that becomes your biography. That becomes your that becomes your signature now. And that's why your biology is your biography now. So how law of attraction works, friends? I want to just share how law of attraction works. Our thoughts are electric. Our thoughts are electric, and the feelings are magnetic. Our emotions are magnetic. So how you think and feel broadcast an electromagnetic signature into the quantum field, into the field, and then you draw the same events into your life. Again, I'll repeat, our thoughts are electric and the feelings are magnetic. So how you think and feel broadcast an electromagnetic signature into the field, and that's how you draw that event into your life, because the thoughts send the signal out and the feelings draw the event back. In fact, thoughts are carried on the frequency of emotions. So I will give you an analogy. It's like thoughts are like a car. And feelings are like a driver. So if you do not have without a driver, the car can go nowhere, right? So without the feelings, your thought does not travel too far. It collapses fast. So it is the feeling, it is the emotion which gives life to your thoughts, which gives intensity to your thoughts, which gives speed to your thought. So, so the feelings, that's why it's called emotion, energy in motion. So every emotion has its own thoughts, it has its own vibration and frequency. If you're feeling the lower emotions like guilt or shame or fear or anxiety, it has very low vibrations, low frequency. If you think higher emotions like love, abundance, joy, inspiration, it has much higher frequency and vibrations. And all that is now measured scientifically. So friends, as I shared with you, this is how we live our life. And this is how thoughts become things. First, you think the thoughts, which produces a chemical reaction. The brain releases the chemical, and these are transmitted to the body, and the body feels. And when the body feels, the thought that produces the chemicals allows the body to feel according to the thought. And now this is how the feelings are created. And then when the body feels, the chemical signals running through the body the brain monitors the state of the body, and the brain responds to produce the same chemical messengers which activating the your chromosomes, your genes, influences the genetic expression, and which send the signals to the brain again and help you to produce the same chemicals, sponsor the thought to produce the same chemical. Because so over a period of time, our body is addicted to that chemical reaction, right? So that's why we are not changing, and that's why we are living the same memories of the past. So over a period of time, your body has become your mind, and the body becomes a mind when the feelings have become the means of your thinking. Now you can't think greater than you feel. You are addicted to an emotion. You have neurologically memorized an emotion that is now part of your personality. In fact, you have become an emotional addict. Now you don't see things as they are. You are seeing things as you are, because you are now only seeing it from the lens of your past. And as per your belief system, you are perceiving it. Everything what you perceive is as per your understanding, as per your belief system, as per the lens of the experience of your past, or the lens of your past emotions. And that's why things are not changing. So you think that you have a new future, but actually your past is no different. Your future is no different from your past. So over a period of time, and we don't want to change, because we feel, because the future is uncertain, the future is unpredictable. And so that's why we feel that the known devil is better than the unknown. You're okay to live with the same pain. You're okay to live with the same husband, or the same wife, or the same mother-in-law, or the same spouse, or anything, or the same relationship, because you fear the unknown. You are the same job, because also over a period of time we have become so happy being unhappy. We have become an enlightened victim. In fact, I would go one step further. We have mastered victimization. And that's why change is so difficult. That's why we are not changing. So friends, what happened is, wherever you place your attention, you place your energy. Wherever your thought goes, your energy flows. So what happens is, when we were a child, we were actually hypnotized to believe that the change actually happens outside of us. So when we were a child, we were actually hypnotized to believe that the change really happens outside of us. And when we were children, we were so happy even without any external stimulus. Just by doing nothing. Small things will make us happy. But as we start growing, we thought that if we get a new house, or a new car, or a new toy, or a new friends, then I'll be happy. We started believing that happiness is outside of us. Only when we own this thing, only when we own this this object, or only when we have a new relationship, or something, anything, people, places, things, time or event, only when we associate it with those things, then we'll be happy. So, rather than connecting to our own self or rather than depending on happiness to our own source, to our inner source, we started depending on happiness outside of us. And over a period of time, whatever we do in our life, we actually do for emotional payoff, right? If I have this, then I'll be happy. If I get this, then I'll be happy. But the beauty is the same emotional payoff we can get from within us. We don't need to depend on outside for the emotional payoff. But we learn to depend everything on our emotional payoff. And that's why we are hypnotized to believe that the change is always happening outside of us. And we are always drawing our attention outside of us rather than drawing the attention inside. We are always drawing our attention outside of us. So, and now 90% of our energy, and it's all started with a toy. It could be a small toy, but over a period of time, the toy turned into a house or a relationship or a car as we grow up. And now you need your social media, your friends, your emails or your Snapchat or your problems in life, your job, your parents, your enemies. You need all these things around you. Only if you have all this, then only you can be happy, because your happiness is all dependent on all these things. And then we are told to believe that to be happy, to smile every time, So we maintain a facade. We maintain a facade that, oh, we are always happy, or since happiness is dependent on all these things, we try to create a facade of how we are living. Oh, I have a big house, I have a great car, and so much of energy is actually consumed to maintain that facade. The new research has shown that 90% of our energy is actually consumed to maintain these old emotions. So, but what happens is you want a new car, but the moment you have it, the happiness may not even last for 2 days, 3 days. You may be fighting with your wife in the same car now after 2 days. Because the moment you have a new car, you feel that dopamine rush in your body, and that desensitizes your deep feeling of lack or unhappiness. And at that, for a moment, you feel very happy. But whenever that novelty wears off, the feelings again come back, right? And that's why, again, you go back to your old pattern. Now you want something more. Now you want something more. And that's how it becomes a relationship with time also. You keep postponing your happiness to tomorrow. Now you want, only if tomorrow comes, then I'll be happy. Only if tomorrow comes, then, and when the tomorrow comes, the tomorrow always comes in the form of present moment. And when the present moment comes, again you postpone it for another tomorrow. Now if this happens, then I'll be happy. So we keep postponing our happiness for something outside, or for some different time, or to some different event, or people, or only when I get married, or only when I enter this relationship, then I'll be happy. So it could be anything: people, places, things, time, and event. These things might keep changing, but you don't really change. The fact is, you are the grievance looking for a cause. These things are only taking different forms and shapes, but you are the grievance looking for a cause, or you are the joy looking for the cause. Whatever you want is actually within us. The outside world is only a mirror. It's only a reflecting to what you are inside. It is only showing the evidence of what you are within. Shakespeare said the world is a great theater of mirrors. So exactly, it is only mirroring or reflecting back to you what you are within you. So friends, that's how we have grown up, over a period of time. And that's why it is said that behind every substance addiction, there is an emotional addiction. Whether it is alcohol, or whether it is any smoking, or behind any substance abuse, actually there is deep down there's an emotional addiction. We're addicted to our past, we're addicted to our emotions, and nowadays we have become addicted to our social media. We've been hooked, hacked, and hijacked by social media. Earlier there was a TV, there were hoardings, they used to enter our mind, and we used to start thinking that, okay, happiness is, as if I buy that product, then I'll be happy. Then we got TVs in our house. Now this entered a bedroom. Then it turned into smart TVs. Then we got smartphones now. Now we have a smartphones. Now your phone is, that's why it's called a smartphone, because your smartphone is actually smarter than you. And the truth is, it feels that same emotion. Your smartphone is so intelligent that it feels the same emotions actually that you're addicted to. If you're talking something, it will keep showing you the same product. If you have researched or Googled on something, it will show you, it will pop up more and more of those products. So because now your smartphone, now that this is what you're addicted to, and it will give more of you of that, and the more you will get addicted to that. So you think you're owning that product, but actually you are the product. So this is how, friends, we live our life now, and we are so unconscious that we have become a product. So I'll give you an example of a gold statue. One wise man left a gold statue for his grandchild, and he went to his village. His grandchild was living in a city. Now this grandchild, he covered that statue by, his grandchild, he left a clay statue, and this grandchild painted the statue by gold polish, and polished it with gold. And whenever any friends come, he will boost off, see, I am so rich, I have a gold statue in their house, and he will take a lot of pride and joy in boosting himself. It will really boost his ego. One day his grandfather came to meet him, and he was surprised to see that there was a gold statue, and it was covered by polish. It was polished with gold. So he asked his grandson, grandson, why did you polish this? I left you a clay statue, then why did you polish it with gold? So he said, grandfather, because I have to live in a society where I have to prove that I am rich. I have to show that I am rich. Only then people will value me. So I polished it with gold. He said, stupid. Actually, inside this clay statue, there is actually a gold statue, and I covered with clay that nobody comes to know about it. And now you repolish it with gold. So friends, this is how we live a life. The true treasure of happiness is actually within us. We don't have to look for happiness outside. True happiness is within us. Our inner being is your best source. Your source is the best resource. If we connect to our source within us, if we connect to our source inside, then we can get all the happiness. Somebody asked Buddha once, what have you gained through meditation? He said, nothing. I have lost everything through meditation. I lost my anger, my pain, my suffering, my jealousy, my hatred, my greed, my fear of death by meditation. But when I lost it all, what I was left was pure love, pure joy, pure happiness, pure bliss. So friends, our happiness is our natural state. Everything, whatever we want in our life is actually alive in us. So that's why we are the happiness looking for a cause. We are the joy looking for a cause. Or we can be a grievance looking for a cause. We can be a anger looking for a cause. So friends, this is how, and then over a period of time, we form a belief system, We form a belief system, like multiple beliefs we have, like no pain, no gain, or money does not, this is related to money, or it could be anything. So money, or no pain, no gain, or money does not grow on trees. You really have to work hard to be successful, or I never have enough time, or only when I own this, then I'll be happy. Someone has to make me happy, or life is difficult and no one cares for me, or my race, my culture, my religion is superior, or I am a shy person, or germs make me sick. Actually, germs do not make you sick. They are opportunistic bacteria who are just waiting for your immune system to go weak. And the biggest cause of your immune system is actually your emotions. Your emotions, if you're living in a survival-based emotions, it directly attacks your immune system. You release so much of cortisols, which in the long run makes your immune system weak. Or if you're living in a happy emotions, you boost your immune system. So, or other belief system like, I need 8 hours of sleep, or I can gain weight easily, I'm not just lucky, or my disease is hereditary, or the age is catching up, oh, I'm 40 now. So what happens, friends, over a period of time, our limiting beliefs are the biggest roadblocks for our desires to manifest. Because any situation, any event, it is our beliefs then which drives the behaviors. We make choices according to our beliefs. And so what we need is important is to identify your belief system. Identify all your limiting beliefs which has come from your culture scape. Your culture scape is your upbringing, from your environment around you, from your mother, your father, your teacher, your preacher, your friends, your trends, your religion, your nation. So all these forms are culture speak, and we have imbibed all our belief system from them. And now we are looking from the lens of that belief system. We are looking from the lens of that culture scape. So friends, what happens now here? What happens over a period of time? Now we believe that actually change happens outside of us. Only if the outer world changes, can our inner world change. So the beliefs about yourself and your life are created from the past experience. And the way you think, the way you think neurologically and you feel chemically, ultimately becomes your state of being. And your state of being is your personality. And now your personality creates a personal reality.